The Grand Peace Summit was supposed to mark the end of 3 centuries of bloodshed. For the first time in recorded galactic history, every major civilization gathered in one place. The massive orbital station known as Harmony Spire floated above the neutral world of Elisera, its silver towers reflecting the light of 3 suns. Thousands of diplomats, admirals, scientists, and political leaders arrived aboard elegant cruisers carrying flags instead of weapons. Officially, humanity had accepted the invitation to negotiate lasting peace. Unofficially, almost every alien government believed humans had finally been broken. For 20 years the Terran Republic had fought against an alliance of powerful empires. Human colonies had fallen. Trade routes had been destroyed. Entire fleets had disappeared into the darkness between stars. To the rest of the galaxy, Earth's silence over the last 18 months meant only one thing: defeat. "They've exhausted their resources," whispered High Chancellor Vorak of the Dominion. "They'll sign anything we place before them," replied Admiral Seelan with a satisfied smile. Inside the conference chamber, dozens of alien delegates quietly discussed how humanity would surrender strategic systems, mining rights, and military restrictions. None of them noticed the calm expression on Ambassador Elena Carter's face. She sat alone at the Terran table. No military escort. No advisors. No visible concern. That confidence unsettled a few observers. General Karin of the Neutral Vexery Confederation watched the human ambassador carefully. "She's too relaxed," he muttered. His aide tilted her head. "Perhaps humans simply accepted reality." Karin slowly shook his head. "I've fought humans before. They never look that calm unless they've already won." Across the station, security officers scanned every arriving vessel. No weapons. No hidden fleets. No suspicious signals. Everything appeared perfectly peaceful. Yet one young intelligence analyst frowned at his terminal. "There are strange gravitational fluctuations beyond the system." His supervisor barely looked up. "Probably solar interference. But they're appearing in synchronized patterns. Ignore it." The report was archived. No one investigated further. Meanwhile, millions of kilometers away, far beyond every long-range sensor, darkness moved. Not stars. Not asteroids. Ships. Thousands of them. They floated without engine signatures, powered down completely. Each vessel wore adaptive stealth armor that absorbed nearly every detectable wavelength. The largest ships measured over 20 kilometers long. Ancient-looking. Silent. Waiting. Among them rested humanity's newest flagship, TFS Resolute. Its captain stood on the bridge without speaking. Before him floated a single countdown. 1 hour 43 minutes and 16 seconds. Every officer remained perfectly still. No unnecessary conversation. No nervous movement. Only patience. Humanity had spent 18 months preparing for one moment. Not for war. For proof. Back at Harmony Spire, the summit officially began. Supreme Mediator Talos addressed the assembly. "Today we leave conflict behind." Polite applause echoed across the chamber. The Dominion Chancellor rose first. "We welcome peace." Another smile. "But peace requires responsibility." A holographic document appeared. Its terms spread across the enormous chamber. Gasps followed. Every condition favored the Dominion alliance. Humanity would surrender half its remaining colonies. Its navy would be reduced by 90%. Earth itself would accept permanent foreign military oversight. It wasn't a peace treaty. It was unconditional surrender disguised as diplomacy. Every camera turned toward Ambassador Carter. The galaxy expected outrage. Instead, she smiled. A small smile. Almost amused. "Is something funny?" Chancellor Vorak asked. Elena slowly stood. "You believe this summit is about forcing humanity to surrender?" She looked around the chamber. Every delegate watched silently. Then she spoke 12 words that would soon become legendary across the galaxy. "No. This summit exists so every enemy leader is finally in one place." Silence. Absolute silence. Several delegates laughed nervously. Others looked confused. General Karin's face turned pale. He suddenly understood. Far too late. The laughter inside Harmony Spire faded almost instantly. Ambassador Elena Carter remained perfectly calm as hundreds of alien leaders stared at her in disbelief. Chancellor Vorak leaned forward, his expression hardening. Ambassador, was that meant to be a threat? Elena folded her hands behind her back. No. It was a statement of fact. The enormous conference chamber became eerily silent. Security officers tightened their grip on their pulse rifles while diplomats exchanged uneasy glances. General Karin of the Vexery Confederation slowly stood from his seat. What have you done? Elena looked directly at him. Nothing. Yet. That single word sent a chill through the room. At the same moment, nearly 4 million kilometers beyond the edge of the Elisera system, a tiny green light appeared on the bridge of the TFS Resolute. The countdown reached 0. Captain Marcus Hale smiled. Signal received. He turned toward his officers. Operation Silent Horizon is now active. For 18 months, humanity's greatest military operation had existed only as whispers inside the highest levels of Terran command. Every fleet movement, every diplomatic message, every apparent retreat had been part of an elaborate deception. Humanity had never been losing the war. They had been disappearing on purpose. Every abandoned colony had been evacuated in secret. Every destroyed ship reported to the galaxy had actually entered classified dry docks hidden inside rogue planets and artificial nebulae. The Dominion believed Earth's navy had shrunk to fewer than 600 warships. The truth? More than 18,000 advanced Terran vessels now waited in complete radio silence. Captain Hale gave the order. Bring the fleet online. The darkness exploded with light. Thousands of fusion engines ignited at once, illuminating the void like a second sunrise. Rows upon rows of battleships emerged from stealth. Supercarriers, missile cruisers, electronic warfare vessels, planetary assault carriers, Titan-class dreadnoughts stretching over 30 kilometers long. The largest among them, TFS Dominion Breaker, powered its primary spinal cannon for the first time. Across the fleet, one message echoed simultaneously. For Earth. Inside Harmony Spire, alarms suddenly erupted. Red emergency lights flooded every corridor. An officer rushed into the conference chamber. Supreme Mediator. Talos turned sharply. What is it? The officer struggled to catch his breath. Long-range sensors have detected thousands of unidentified warships entering the system. Vorak laughed dismissively. Our reinforcement fleet? The officer swallowed. No, Chancellor. They're human. The room froze. Military officers rushed to holographic displays as sensor data streamed in faster than computers could process. One by one, massive red icons appeared around the Elisera system. Then hundreds. Then thousands. The tactical AI tried to count them. It failed. Impossible, whispered Admiral Seelan. Where were they hiding? Another officer answered with a trembling voice. They were never detected. General Karin stared silently at the map. The human fleet wasn't approaching from one direction. It had already surrounded the entire star system. Every hyperspace exit. Every escape route. Every military formation. But the realization struck everyone at once. This wasn't an invasion. It was a perfectly executed encirclement. Back on the bridge of the TFS Resolute, Captain Hale received a secure transmission. Admiral Sarah Winters appeared on the holographic screen. Status. Enemy leadership remains inside Harmony Spire. Enemy fleets? They're beginning emergency deployment. Winters nodded once. Exactly as predicted. She looked toward the stars outside her bridge. For 20 years they believed humans only knew how to fight. They never imagined we'd learn how to wait. She paused. Open every communication channel. Seconds later, every military ship, civilian station, and command center across the Elisera system received the same broadcast. Ambassador Elena Carter appeared on every screen. Her voice was calm, steady, unshaken. You invited humanity to a peace summit. You intended to force our surrender. You gathered every commander responsible for the deaths of billions. She looked directly into the camera. Now, you will answer for those crimes. The silence that followed was more terrifying than any declaration of war. The broadcast ended. For several long seconds, no one in the Elisera system moved. Every bridge crew, every diplomat, every military commander stared silently at their screens. Then chaos erupted. Inside Harmony Spire, security officers rushed through the corridors while emergency bulkheads slammed shut. Military delegates shouted over one another, demanding updates from their fleets. Chancellor Vorak pounded his fist against the conference table. Deploy every warship. Destroy the human fleet before they can tighten their formation. An exhausted communications officer looked up from his console. Sir. Vorak glared. What now? The officer swallowed. Our fleets aren't responding. What do you mean they aren't responding? They're receiving our signals, but every command channel is being jammed. The room fell silent once more. Aboard the TFS Resolute, Captain Marcus Hale watched the tactical display with quiet satisfaction. Thousands of blue icons surrounded the system in perfect concentric rings. No ship moved out of formation. No captain acted independently. Every vessel executed its orders with machine-like precision. Commander Aisha Rahman stepped beside him. The Dominion has activated emergency communications. Hale nodded. And? Our electronic warfare squadrons intercepted everything. She smiled faintly. They're talking only to themselves now. Humanity had spent years developing the Aegis Grid, an advanced electronic warfare network capable of overwhelming enemy communications without firing a single shot. Across the battlefield, alien admirals found themselves isolated. Orders never reached their ships. Targeting systems displayed false contacts. Navigation computers reported impossible coordinates. Entire fleets were effectively blind. Meanwhile, aboard the Dominion flagship Iron Judgment, Admiral Seelan struggled to restore control. Reboot every tactical system. Engineers worked frantically. No effect, Admiral. Switch to manual targeting. Another officer looked horrified. Manual targeting shows nothing. What? The human ships keep disappearing. In reality, they never moved. Terran stealth projectors continuously altered their sensor signatures, making ships appear kilometers away from their true positions. To alien targeting computers, reality itself had become unreliable. Back inside Harmony Spire, General Karin approached Ambassador Elena Carter. Unlike the others, he wasn't angry. He was curious. You planned this for 18 months. Elena nodded. Longer. You allowed your colonies to appear abandoned. Yes. You let the galaxy believe humanity was collapsing. We encouraged that belief. Karin looked toward the panoramic window overlooking space. Thousands of human warships glowed against the darkness. You sacrificed your pride. Elena's expression remained calm. Pride doesn't win wars. Preparation does. For the first time in decades, the seasoned general smiled. I warned them. You did. They refused to listen. Suddenly, the tactical display inside the conference chamber changed. A massive human emblem appeared across every screen. Below it flashed a single message. Target lock established. Gasps echoed throughout the chamber. Dozens of officers checked the data in disbelief. Every major Dominion flagship, every orbital weapons platform, every defense satellite had already been targeted. Not one, not 10, all of them, simultaneously, without a single human ship crossing the engagement line. On the bridge of the TFS Dominion Breaker, Weapons Officer Lieutenant Sofia Alvarez completed her final calculations. Primary spinal cannon locked. Missile batteries synchronized. Orbital railguns online. Captain David Mercer looked at the firing authorization displayed before him. One command. That was all it would take. Enough firepower to erase the enemy's entire frontline fleet. But the order never came. Instead, Admiral Sarah Winter's voice echoed across every human vessel. Hold your fire. The bridge officers exchanged surprised glances. Winters continued. We didn't come here for revenge. We came here to end this war. Across the human fleet, thousands of weapons remained ready, but silent. That restraint unsettled the alien commanders even more than the overwhelming military force surrounding them. For the first time, they realized the terrifying truth. Humanity didn't need to fire to prove it had already won. The realization spread through the galaxy's leadership like a shockwave. Humanity had every advantage, every strategic position, every target lock, every escape route controlled. Yet they still hadn't fired a single shot. That frightened the alien leaders more than any fleet ever could. Inside Harmony Spire, Chancellor Vorak's confidence finally began to crack. "You can't do this," he snapped at Ambassador Elena Carter. "You have surrounded a neutral summit." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Neutral?" She tapped a control panel. A massive holographic display appeared above the chamber. Thousands of classified documents filled the screen. Military orders, secret communications, hidden treaties, evidence gathered over decades. The room grew silent. "What is this?" demanded one delegate. "The truth," Elena replied. The first document appeared. It showed Dominion commanders authorizing attacks on civilian evacuation ships during the opening years of the war. The second revealed secret funding of pirate fleets used to raid human colonies. The third exposed plans to starve entire worlds through economic blockades. Gasps echoed throughout the chamber. Several neutral delegates looked horrified. Others stared at the evidence in disbelief. General Karin closed his eyes. He had suspected some of it, not all of it. Then came the final revelation. A recording. One humanity had spent years trying to obtain. The image flickered to life. It showed a secret meeting between Dominion leaders 21 years earlier. Chancellor Vorak himself sat at the center of the table. His younger voice filled the chamber. "Humanity is expanding too quickly." Another official nodded. "Then we provoke a conflict. And blame them?" "Exactly." The recording continued. Every lie, every false accusation, every manufactured incident. The entire war had been planned before the first shot was fired. Millions had died because a handful of powerful leaders feared humanity's growing influence. When the recording ended, absolute silence filled the room. Vorak's face had turned pale. Across the galaxy, billions watched the summit broadcast live. Citizens from hundreds of worlds witnessed the evidence for themselves. Public reaction was immediate. Protests erupted on Dominion worlds. Military personnel began questioning orders. Several member governments announced they were withdrawing from the alliance. The political structure that had dominated the galaxy for centuries started collapsing in real time. Without a single human weapon firing. Aboard the TFS Resolute, Captain Hale watched reports stream across his console. Dominion border fleets are surrendering. 3 member states have declared neutrality. 7 more are requesting ceasefire negotiations. Commander Ramon looked amazed. "We're winning without a battle." Hale smiled. "The best victories usually happen that way." Back inside Harmony Spire, Supreme Mediator Talos slowly stood. For decades he had overseen galactic diplomacy. Never had he witnessed anything like this. He looked toward Elena Carter. "What does humanity want?" Every delegate stared at her. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. After 20 years of war, after billions of deaths, after the largest military ambush in history, what would humanity demand? Territory? Resources? Revenge? Elena's answer stunned everyone. "We want the war to end." Murmurs spread throughout the chamber. She continued. "We don't want your worlds. We don't want your wealth. We don't want your people." Her voice became harder. "But those responsible for this war will face justice." Every eye turned toward Chancellor Vorak and the other architects of the conflict. For the first time, they understood their position. The human fleet hadn't come to conquer them. It had come to arrest them. Suddenly, security officers entered the chamber. Not human soldiers. Neutral Vexery peacekeepers. General Karin personally led them. He stopped in front of Vorak. The former ruler looked stunned. "You can't arrest me." Karin's expression remained cold. I can. The general activated his restraint device. For crimes against the galaxy. As the cuffs locked into place, the balance of power shifted forever. And humanity's greatest military ambush entered the history books. But one final surprise remained. The chamber doors closed behind the arrested Dominion leaders. For the first time in over 20 years, the voices that had fueled the war fell silent. No cheers echoed through Harmony Spire. No celebrations erupted aboard the human fleet. Only relief. Ambassador Elena Carter watched as Chancellor Vorak and the remaining conspirators were escorted away by Vexery peacekeepers. General Karin stopped beside her. You could have destroyed every fleet in this system. Elena nodded. We could have. You didn't. She looked through the massive observation window, where thousands of Terran warships remained in flawless formation. My father fought in the First Dominion offensive, she said quietly. He taught me something before he died. Karin waited. Winning a war is easy. Building the peace afterward is the difficult part. The old general smiled. Your father was a wise man. Across the Ely-Sara system, human commanders began receiving new orders. Admiral Sarah Winters addressed every ship in the fleet. Operation Silent Horizon is complete. Maintain defensive positions. No vessel is to fire unless directly attacked. Today we prove that discipline is stronger than hatred. One by one, thousands of human captains acknowledged the command. Weapons remained powered, but unfired. The galaxy had expected vengeance. Instead, it witnessed restraint. Over the following hours, surrender signals flooded Terran command. Dominion battle groups powered down their weapons. Orbital defense platforms transferred control to neutral peacekeeping forces. Entire armadas requested safe passage under human escort. Captain Marcus Hale looked at the tactical display aboard the TFS Resolute. The sea of hostile red icons slowly turned blue and white as ceasefire agreements were confirmed. Commander Aisha Ramon smiled. I've never seen a battle end before it truly began. Hale answered softly. Neither has the galaxy. Days later, representatives from more than 300 civilizations gathered once again inside Harmony Spire. This time, the atmosphere was different. No hidden agendas. No secret military demands. No threats disguised as diplomacy. Supreme Mediator Talos stepped to the center of the chamber. History will remember today not as the day humanity trapped the galaxy. He paused. But as the day humanity gave it a second chance. The delegates rose in applause. Even worlds that had once feared Earth now looked upon humanity with new respect. Not because humans possessed the largest fleet, but because they had chosen not to use it. Several weeks later, the Galactic Tribunal delivered its verdict. The architects of the war, including Chancellor Vorak and Admiral Seelan, were found guilty of orchestrating the conflict, attacking civilians, and committing crimes against countless worlds. Justice had been served, not through conquest, but through truth. Human intelligence had spent years collecting evidence. Human soldiers had spent years preparing. Human leaders had spent years waiting for the perfect moment. That patience had saved billions of lives. Far above Earth, the immense Terran fleet finally began its journey home. The TFS Resolute led the formation, followed by thousands of ships disappearing into hyperspace one brilliant flash at a time. Captain Hale looked back at the shrinking stars of Ely-Sara. Do you think they'll remember this day? Commander Ramon asked. He smiled. For generations. They'll remember that humanity came to a peace summit with the most powerful fleet ever assembled. And won the greatest military ambush in history without firing the first shot. As the last Terran warship vanished into hyperspace, a new era began. An era where peace was protected not by fear alone, but by the unwavering resolve of a species that understood the true cost of war.